Okay, my name is Alexandru Ciuvat. I'm from National Institute for Research in Forestry in Romania. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to be here and also congratulate the organizers for this successful workshop. And I want to make mention that it's not actually a study case. It's based on a review of published results, both at national and international level, on valuing the different products derived from Amorpha fruticosa. Amorpha, it's a species exotic to Romania. It was introduced first as an ornamental species, and after that it was used in degraded land reclamation, from which it spread mainly on the Danube River floodplain, but also on the inland river floodplains. It currently occupies an important area at national level. We don't know currently how much. We need to do an inventory on this, but we acknowledge that it has a negative impact in especially in protected areas, in wetlands, in Natura 2000 sites. And we intend to develop a research program to see how to better control and manage this invasive species. And after consulting the available results on this subject, we identified three main categories of uses that Amorpha fruticosa products can be used. This would be medicinal uses, food industry uses, and industrial uses as an energy resource, let's say. The main medicinal uses are derived from chemical extracted from the fruits of the species. There have been quite some research, both in Romania and other countries, China and Croatia, I think, on this subject. And I think the fact that it may have uses in preventing or treating neurological diseases like Alzheimer or Parkinson, it's very important, and also wound healing properties, and who knows, maybe other medicinal uses that can be derived from the chemical extracts of the fruits. Then food uses. The species is well known in Romania and neighboring countries as a melliferous species with high potential. The honey is appreciated. It's not the best quality honey, but it is appreciated, and the quantities that it generates are quite considerable. You can see that it ranges between 55 and 100 kilograms, depending on the age of honey per hectare. The leaves and young shoots, as we've seen in some presentations before, can be used as forage for domestic livestock, and also the seeds are an alternative food source for wild game feathered bird species like pheasants and other bird species. While industrial uses, as we seen yesterday, can be mainly into the renewable energy sector as a biomass source for biomass heating plants, or just as an alternative fuel source for rural communities for using in stoves. And as you can see, it has a high energetic output, and the fact that it's abundant, I know, can relieve the pressure on natural forests in those areas. local communities can gather it, and also it's suitable for pellet production. Who knows, maybe in combination with reed, which it's found, Amorpha, it's commonly found in areas where reed is found, and you can combine the biomass of the two species to obtain better quality pellets. And putting together all these uses, you can develop a strategy that per 1 year you can have three stages. In the spring you can collect the pollen, then in the autumn you can collect the fruits for medicinal and pharmaceutical purposes, and then in the winter you could harvest the biomass, and this could be 1 to 3 years, 1 to 5 years short rotation cycle, like a short rotation biomass crop. And we believe that this represents a sustainable solution, a sustainable way to manage this invasive species, at least to control and to diminish the spread, instead of investing in mechanical eradication and chemical eradication and so on and so on. You could involve the local communities, local stakeholders, like we saw yesterday with the WWF project in Hungary. And besides the biomass, I think we could also use this medicinal potential of the plant. Of course, the honey is used and it's well known, but the medicinal potential, I think it's a field where we can still develop further. And I think that's it. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much. Questions? Remarks?
It's of course a very valuable strategy to actually use the species, but on the other hand you should be careful that you don't accelerate the spread of the species as you give some value to it. So how do you deal with that part of the problem?
The way we think is that by harvesting it either annually or on a 3-year basis, the research results of other countries show that its sprouting capacity diminishes with each harvesting, and by this you allow the native species to recolonize that area. By yearly harvesting or periodically harvesting the species, you diminish its capacity to spread and allow the native willow and poplar species, which are occupying the same habitat, to retake the natural habitat.
But you shouldn't make the species too popular, so you shouldn't.
Actually, it's already popular in Romania.
Yeah,
there are ads of firms that promote the species as a beekeeping species. So they offer to sell the species to be cultivated by beekeepers. So it's a big issue, and in Romania, up until now, the issue of invasive species, of alien species, it's kind of a developing field. It's rather new, and the public should be, we should raise awareness towards species like Amorpha, especially Amorpha, because beekeeping, it's very big in Romania, and beekeepers are always looking for new species that could improve the honey production. And Amorpha, it's among the species that it's promoted, actually. We don't promote it. We intend to reduce its spread. We intend to amend the technical norms for forestry, where it would be banned from using in degraded land reclamation, and so on.
Okay, thank you. Clara?
Yeah, I'd like to add two remarks regarding the Amorpha fruticosa from the WWF experience along the Tisa. One is regarding the project that Csaba presented yesterday. There, of course, the goal is not to cultivate a plantation of Amorpha fruticosa, but to control and eradicate them. And after that, we introduced a different land use, so like a plantation of a non-invasive species, a native below. And but it's true that since this is useful for bioenergy, the Amorpha, it's important that the initial investment can be financed from selling it to any kind of bioenergy use. And this way it's sustainable from an economic point of view. And we are also doing an experience right now to research how this harvest of Amorpha, let's call it this way, will change after the second year or a second harvest where the saplings are growing after the first treatment. And as for the first results, it's less strong, so also less useful for the energy use. So that's one remark. And the other is about the control, that what is very helpful along the rivers, if it's on a flat plain of rivers and not like a lake that the Pomoria we heard about. We are lucky, and the flood arrives right after the Amorpha was cut, then it helps to kill them a lot. So the water cover, especially if it's long enough, it weakens them quite a lot.
Okay, so by no means do we want to spread the species. We want to control and diminish its spread, but it's in a sustainable way. Try to I don't know, benefit from it while we control it. And the other thing is we are open to collaborations with colleagues from other countries with more experience in this domain. So thank you again.
Thank you. Other questions? Well, so I think this is a very controversial and critical point to use and how to use invasive species, especially on a landscape level, just as you described. So you already mentioned that in Romania you have a kind of regulation which determines spatially where it should use or where it should be eradicated. So is it
yes,
well established?
For Robinia pseudocacea, it's quite well established for decades, whereas we are forced by law, by technical norms, to use it in afforestation only on degraded lands, where soil analysis proves that we cannot use any native species. So this is why it didn't have the invasive effect that it had in other countries, and also the climate of Romania. But for Amorpha, as much as I know, it's still used in land reclamation projects, in ecological reconstruction. So this would be a first step to ban its further use in the land reclamation, and then develop a control plan, control strategy for Amorpha and for other species, because we have also Ailanthus altissima and Acer negundo. We still use Acer negundo, we still use Ailanthus altissima in forestry, also on degraded lands. So we have a lot of issues to tackle in the coming years.
Okay, thank you very much. If you don't have any more